Hey everyone, today I wanted to talk about one of my all-time favorite movies, Donnie Darko. I find the movie absolutely fascinating and just love it to death. There are a ton of ways to interpret the movie, and every time I watch it, I see it in a new way. I've been wanting to make more movie review type videos since my last one that did pretty well. I've been bugged about it all the time. The video I made was mostly negative though, and I couldn't get the energy to watch something I didn't enjoy for the sake of hating on it in a video. So instead, I'm going to be doing the exact opposite. I'm going to be spending this entire video gushing over one of my favorite movies, analyzing it, sharing my theories, and hopefully overall sharing some of what I enjoy so much about the movie with you all. And of course, this video will contain spoilers, so if you haven't seen this movie, I would highly recommend watching it. It's even free to watch on YouTube. I'd recommend watching the director's cut over the regular version. Gives you a little more context on the plot. So save this video to your watch later, go there, then come back. I also won't hate if this video makes you want to watch the movie if you haven't seen it. With the intro out of the way, let's get into it. At the beginning of the film, Donnie is atop a mountain with his bike. He seems unaware of how he got there, but also amused by the fact that he is there. I think this is to show us that this is familiar to Donnie and not really a new occurrence. When he arrives home, there's even a note on the fridge asking, "Where's Donnie?" Even his family doesn't seem too concerned, and like it's pretty normal for him to disappear. It's brought up a few times in the movie, even one of his friends mentions him sleepwalking again.
Sleepwalking again there, buddy?
I don't want to talk about it.
Meaning it has happened before the events of the movie, and it's never really made clear to us what exactly Donnie is suffering from. I definitely think Donnie has something going on with him, but it's not super relevant to like the plot of the movie. The next night, Donnie is sleepwalking again, and this is where we are introduced to Frank. Frank is a man in a bunny costume that seems to be a hallucination of Donnie's.
28 days, 6 hours, 42 minutes, 12 seconds. That is when the world will end.
Why?
During the sleepwalk, Donnie is told by Frank that the world will end in 28 days, 6 hours, 42 minutes, and 12 seconds. This is something that lingers in Donnie's head throughout the film. While Donnie was out on his sleepwalk adventures, a plane jet engine fell onto his bedroom. And then the next morning, he wakes up on a golf course with the time Frank had told him written on his arm. Donnie walks home and everyone is relieved to see he is okay. He is updated on the situation and he's told they have no idea where the jet engine came from. There was no plane to go with it. The family is sent to a hotel room and Donnie's parents are talking about how he dodged a bullet and someone must have been looking out for him. This sparks one of my many theories for the movie, but we will get into that later.
He dodged his bullet, Rose. Somebody was watching over him.
In the next scene, we are introduced to Donnie's friends at the bus stop and Cherita. They catch the bus to school and we're introduced to this movie's banging soundtrack. We are then moved into the English class, introducing us to the English teacher Drew Barrymore. And I don't know what it is about this English teacher, but man, she is hot. And I am down bad for Donnie Darko teacher Drew Barrymore.
No, I just had a little bit too much of Hennessy.
What is Graham Greene trying to communicate with this passage?
You so fucking precious when you smile. Yeah. Hit it from the back and drive you wild. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Girl, I lose myself up in those eyes.
God help me. Anyways, they're talking about a book where kids choose to break into someone's house, flood it, and burn a bunch of money they had found in a mattress. The teacher asks Donnie what his interpretation of it was based on his recent brush with mass destruction.
Well, they say it right when they
flood the house and they tear it to shreds, that, destruction is a form of creation, so the fact that they burn the money is ironic. They just want to see what happens when they tear the world apart. They want to change things.
We are introduced to Gretchen, the new girl in school, who joins class for the first time. She's told to sit next to the boy who she thinks is the cutest, and she chooses to sit next to Donnie. It's also a little weird for the teacher to tell someone to sit next to who they think is the cutest. I'm not exactly sure what that is about, but I think it was a deliberate choice by her, and I sort of have a theory on that as well. I told you, there's going to be a few theories. We then cut to Donnie in the car with his father, driving to their new home. Donnie's dad is telling Donnie that they can't talk about the incident at the house.
Oh, no. Apparently they can't tell us what happened yet. Something about a matching serial number that got burned. I had to sign a form saying I wouldn't talk to him.
So we're not supposed to tell anyone what nobody knows.
Yes.
While distracted talking to Donnie, he almost runs over an old lady. They get out of the car and Donnie checks on her and watches as she checks her mailbox marked with the name R. Sparrow.
No mail today, maybe tomorrow.
She comes up and whispers something in Donnie's ear. We cut to therapy and Donnie is talking to his therapist about Frank. Donnie tells her Frank told him to follow him into the future and he was told that the world would end, but he doesn't believe it will.
That's stupid.
Donnie goes to sleep and ends up sleepwalking again. He ends up vandalizing the school and flooding it, foreshadowed by the book in the English class. There are now 24 days that remain before the end of the world.
Pay close attention. You could miss something.
The destruction Donnie causes creates an opportunity. Everyone is returning home from the school that they didn't know was flooded, and Seth Rogen is being a creep to Gretchen.
I like your boobs.
So Donnie walks her home. On the walk back, they talk to each other and learn about each other.
My mom had to get a restraining order against my stepdad. He has emotional problems.
Oh, I have those too. What kind of emotional problems does your dad have?
He stabbed my mom 4 times in the chest.
Oh.
Before Gretchen breaks off to go home, Donnie asks her out. She says yes. In the next scene, things get a little weird.
I asked you about your family, Donnie.
No. I don't think about fucking my family. That's gross.
I'd like to hear about your friend Frank.
There's a lot of hubbub at the school about who caused the floods, and there's a rumor that it was one of the bullies. Now this leads into one of my groundbreaking theories that I don't think anyone has talked about before, but you're gonna have to wait until the end of the video for that. And then Donnie crashes out a little bit over some Smurfs.
That's bullshit. Smurfette fucks all the other Smurfs. Why do you think Papa Smurf made her? It's because all the other Smurfs were getting too horny.
Well, what about Papa Smurf? I mean, he must get into the action.
Yeah, what he does, he films the gangbang. Later on, he beats off to the tape.
First of all, Papa Smurf didn't create Smurfette. Gargamel did. She was sent in as Gargamel's evil spy with the intention of destroying the Smurf village, but the overwhelming goodness of the Smurf way of life transformed her. And as for the whole gangbang scenario, it just couldn't happen. Smurfs are asexual. They don't even have reproductive organs under those little white pants. This was so illogical, you know, about being a Smurf. You know, what's the point of living if you don't have a dick?
After all that, we see Grandma Death, you know, the old lady that Donnie's dad almost ran over. Well, she almost got ran over again, and she's still checking her mailbox.
Oh, no dice, Grandma. No, sorry. Sorry.
We cut to Donnie taking his meds and talking to Frank. Meanwhile, there's also a PTA meeting being held at the school over the book in the English class. Frank tells Donnie not to worry and that he's gonna get away with flooding the school. And the PTA chooses to ban the book to appease the lunatic teacher, Mrs. Farmer.
A storm is coming, Frank says. A storm that will swallow the children. And I will deliver them from the kingdom of pain. I'll deliver the children back to their doorsteps. I'll send the monsters back to the underground. I'll send them back to a place where no one else can see them. Except for me. Because I am Donnie Darko.
Later in class, with the aforementioned Mrs. Farmer, they are doing a lifeline lesson brought to you by weirdo Jim Cunningham. They are told that choices are made out of love and fear. They have to place choices people make on a line that determines how much of the choice was made out of fear or love.
Juanita has an important math test today. She's known about the test for several weeks, but has not studied. In order to keep from failing her class, Juanita decides that she will cheat on the math test.
Good, very good.
Donnie gets called up and goes off.
Ling Ling finds a wallet on the ground filled with money. She takes the wallet to the address on the driver's license but keeps the money inside the wallet. I'm sorry, Miss Farmer, I don't get this.
Just place an X on the lifeline in the appropriate place.
No, I mean, I know what to do. I don't get this. You can't just lump things into two categories. Things aren't that simple.
The lifeline is divided that way.
Well, life isn't that simple. I mean, who cares if Ling Ling returns the wallet and keeps the money? It has nothing to do with either fear or love.
Fear and love are the deepest of human emotions.
Okay, but you're not listening to me. There are other things that need to be taken into account here, like the whole spectrum of human emotion. You can't just lump everything into these two categories and then just deny everything else.
If you don't complete the assignment, you'll get a 0 for the day.
He is then sent to the principal's office. It's reiterated to us in there that Donnie is a pretty smart guy. He has impressive grades, so it's not clear what is up with all the odd behavior. Which sort of adds to Donnie's point from literally the previous scene. The choices he made are not as simple as he's a smart kid. He has a lot more going on beneath the surface. Donnie goes to science class and afterwards is asking the teacher about time travel and wormholes. The teacher gladly helps Donnie out and answers all the questions the best he can. The teacher then hands Donnie a book and tells Donnie not to tell anyone that he gave it to him. It was a book by an old teacher that used to be a nun, but she suddenly changed and started teaching science. The book is called The Philosophy of Time Travel by Roberta Sparrow, aka Grandma Death, the old lady that has almost been run over multiple times. This is where the movie gets real wacky. This is why I highly recommend the director's cut, because after this scene, we get a snippet from the book that explains if a tangent universe occurs, it will be highly unstable, sustaining life for no longer than several weeks. Well, weird, remember how long Donnie had until the world ended? 28 days. That's several weeks. It goes on to say that eventually the universe will collapse upon itself, forming a black hole in the primary universe capable of destroying all existence. So everyone is at stake, not just Donnie. I believe from this, we are being told that Donnie is currently in a tangent universe, not his primary universe. And when the tangent universe collapses in that 28 days, it will also destroy his main universe. This happens when there is a corruption in the fourth dimension, whatever that means, but I believe that was probably when the jet engine fell out of nowhere and landed in Donnie's room. We then learn what Roberta Sparrow said to Donnie earlier, and Donnie gets a little too real talking about his old family dog.
Donnie, what did Roberta Sparrow say to you?
She said that every living creature on Earth dies alone.
How did that make you feel?
It reminded me of my dog, Callie. She died when I was 8, and she crawled underneath the porch.
To die?
To be alone.
Do you feel alone right now?
I mean, I'd like to believe I'm not, but I've just never seen any proof, so I just don't debate it anymore, you know? It's like I could spend my whole life debating it over and over again, weighing the pros and cons, and in the end, I still wouldn't have any proof, so I just don't debate it anymore. It's absurd.
The search for God is absurd?
It is if everyone dies alone.
Does that scare you?
I don't want to be alone.
And so his tapes have made me realize that for the last 39 years, I have been a prisoner of my own fear.
Seemingly later that night, Donnie is tripping out and sees a big watery blob coming from his dad's chest as he gets off the couch to get a beer from the fridge. He sees it coming from his sister skipping around the rooms as if he can see through time. A stream then comes out of his chest and he follows it. It leads him to a gun in his parents' bedroom. 12 days remain before the end of the world.
Okay, let's not forget tomorrow we're meeting with our partners at the Young Inventors Fair.
What happened to your neck? The blood on your neck.
I just need to take a second here to appreciate this movie and the soundtrack. You may not have noticed, but I've actually been using the soundtrack throughout this whole video. And in listening to it, I've actually discovered like a lot of the tracks like interconnect. It's very cool, it's very interesting. I love this movie and I've never noticed that before until making this video. Just a little piano score and everything, it just gets better with every watch. It's nostalgic and tragic, but on your first watch it's curious and sort of uplifting. It's just so good. This little piano score sort of reminds me of the Social Network score. Wait, hold on. What? Hold on. What? Anyways, we get another snippet from the book, but it doesn't really provide much information, aside from like why the streams that were coming out of people's chests look like water and stuff. We then cut to Gretchen and Donnie walking and talking.
And what if you could go back in time and take all those hours of pain and darkness and replace them with something better?
She's then interrupted by Donnie, who's being a horny teen boy and really wants to smooch. Gretchen doesn't want to kiss him yet though, and even Donnie finishes her sentence when saying she wants it to be at a time that can remind her of how beautiful the world can be. Like a respectable Chad, Donnie is okay with that and moves on. There was also some guy that was watching them.
You're not gonna tell Mom, are you?
Why would I tell Mom?
Because you tell Mom everything.
No, I don't. Let me see it.
No, it's not finished. It's
okay, it's cool. That's scary.
Donnie's parents learn about Frank from his therapist, and then we get another snippet from the book. Chapter 7, The Manipulated Living. It goes on to read saying this is an unfortunate result of their task, which is to assist the living receiver in returning the artifact to the primary universe. We will get into what the living receiver and artifact is later. It then goes on to say the manipulated living will do anything to save themselves from oblivion. There are a good few characters in the movie that are manipulated living, which I will also get into more later. For now, just know that there are characters who are essentially being forced into inching Donnie towards his destiny to avoid oblivion. We cut to a school assembly with the man himself, Jim Cunningham. During the assembly, he is lecturing the kids on how people live in fear. A few kids, including a young Ashley Tisdale and Spencer from iCarly, go up to the microphone and ask him some questions. Young Ashley Tisdale thinks her sister eats too much, and young Spencer wants to figure out what he wants to be when he gets older. Jim Cunningham just gives them a platitude that says to look inwards and go towards love, and he is overall pretty supportive of the kids, albeit mostly with just empty platitudes. Then, Donnie takes the stand.
Good morning.
Good morning.
How much are they paying you to be here?
What is your name, son?
Gerald.
Well, Gerald, I think you're afraid.
Are you telling us this stuff so we can buy your book? Because I gotta tell you, if you are, that was some of the worst advice I ever heard.
You see how sad this is?
You want your sister to lose weight? Tell her to get off the couch, stop eating Twinkies, and maybe go out for field hockey. And you know what? No one ever knows what they want to be when they grow up. You know, it takes a little while to find that out, right, Jim? You're sick of some jerk shoving your head down the toilet. Well, you know what? Maybe you should lift some weights or take a karate lesson, and the next time he tries to do it, you kick him in the balls.
Do you see this?
Right?
This is an anger prisoner, a textbook example.
Prisoner.
Do you see the fear, people? It breaks my heart to say this, but I believe you're a very troubled and confused young man.
You're right, actually. I am I'm pretty troubled and I'm pretty confused, but I'm afraid, really afraid. Really afraid, but I think you're the fucking Antichrist.
We then get a scene of Donnie telling Gretchen about Roberta Sparrow. He tells her that he's been seeing weird things and that the book describes exactly what he had been going through. They go to talk to Roberta Sparrow about her book, but struggle to find her, and when they do, she's just ominously staring at them. Donnie then hears Frank tell him to just write her a letter. We then get another snippet from the book, Chapter 4, The Artifact and the Living. It explains that the person nearest to the vortex will find themselves in the center of a dangerous new world, aka the Tangent Universe. It also confirms to us that the jet engine from the plane is an artifact left behind from when the universal split occurred. This page then explains that the living will try to retrieve it out of curiosity, and that artifacts when this occurs are usually made out of metal, tying back to the previous chapter on water and metal. Donnie is then back talking to his science teacher about time travel. The teacher is explaining how objects travel in space, and to visualize it, Donnie refers to what he saw with his father earlier. The teacher then explains that to travel through time, the object would need a wormhole of sorts, and Donnie asks if one of those could just suddenly appear. The teacher responds saying it would be highly unlikely, and what Donnie is referring to is more likely an act of God. Donnie then responds that if God controls time, then all time is pre-decided. He goes on to explain that everything moves along its own set path, and if you could see that path, you could see into the future. Sort of its own version of time travel. Knowing what will happen, but not being there for it yet. The teacher tells Donnie that he's contradicting himself. If we could see our destiny manifest, we would have the choice to defy it. And since we could choose to do so, we can't truly determine what the path would be, and it would collapse. Donnie retorts though, saying, not if you travel in God's channel. The science teacher then abruptly ends the conversation, telling Donnie he could lose his job if he continues it. We never really learn why he had to end the conversation, but I assume it's because he does know a lot more than he is letting on, and I think this whole conversation is telling us that Donnie basically knows his destiny and he is choosing to follow the path to see where it leads. He's following God's channel, which I believe is that goop that was coming out of his chest earlier in the movie.
Maybe you and Frank can read this one together.
We get another snippet from the book, Chapter 6, The Living Receiver. It explains that Donnie is our living receiver and gives us more information on what that even is. It explains the living receiver is chosen to guide the artifact, the jet engine in Donnie's case, into position for its journey back to the primary universe. No one knows how or why a receiver is chosen, and they are often blessed with fourth-dimensional powers like strength, telekinesis, mind control, and the ability to conjure fire and water. We don't really see any time Donnie outwardly has superpowers like these, but we also didn't technically see him flood the school. He somehow put an axe in a bronze statue, so you know, Donnie may have super strength and be a waterbender. He's very smart and sees weird things, but he even explains in the next lines that is also pretty normal for a living receiver.
Now you know where he lives.
Donnie is showing his therapist the book and talking about the liquid paths he saw and telling her that he followed one. The therapist was curious about where it led him and what he found, but Donnie lies and says he found nothing. Gretchen and Donnie get harassed during a presentation at school. Gretchen storms out of the school when the day is up and Donnie chases her down to comfort her, and she just kisses him to remind herself that the world is beautiful during her bad day. And goddamn, I love this movie. Dude, the soundtrack, everything. This movie is great. Speaking of loving movies, they go to the movies to see Evil Dead. While in the theater, Gretchen falls asleep and Frank shows up. We finally get to see what Frank looks like beneath his mask, and see he's missing an eye. Donnie asks what happened to it, but Frank just stares him down and Donnie smiles. Donnie knows what happened to it. This is even proven to us a few moments later.
We're just gonna stop.
You should already know that.
Frank then shows Donnie a portal, which I assume is a wormhole in the theater screen. He tells Donnie to burn it to the ground, it being Jim Cunningham's house. This can also go back to the last chapter we saw from the book. Donnie is now conjuring fire. We see him pour gasoline everywhere, but we don't see how he lit it. While Donnie is out burning down Cunningham's house, Cunningham is at the school hosting a dance competition, featuring Cherita and Donnie's sister in the group Sparkle Motion. After the competition, Cherita is sitting outside, and she just looks up to the sky, sort of hopeful looking it seems. As she shuts her eyes, we cut straight to Donnie returning to Gretchen in the movie theater. We get another snippet from Roberta Sparrow's book, Chapter 10, The Manipulated Dead. And that's it. I swear, I watched the entire movie multiple times and never saw any text that is supposed to go with this. I'm sort of losing my mind. This is, however, just telling us Frank, who was just revealed to us to be missing an eye, is actually a dead person who is being manipulated into helping Donnie save the universe. We'll get more into that later. That's all it's explaining. Later, after putting out the fire and going through the wreckage of Jim Cunningham's house, authorities discovered a CP dungeon and arrested him for being a PDF file. And now only 6 days remain before the end of the world. Now we are about halfway through, and if you're enjoying the video, please be sure to leave a like and subscribe. Comment down below that you want to see more of this. It really, helps me to have some feedback. Anyway, sorry, just gotta do my, call to action. Now we're back to the video. The English teacher is fired from the school for her inappropriate teaching methods, which, to be honest, the whole sit next to who you think is the cutest thing makes sense, but I assume it's more about the literature she chose to teach. She goes outside to scream her head off and sees Cherita. While heading back into the school, she hears over the PA that Sparkle Motion won the dance competition, and she's clearly devastated because she thought Cherita should have won. We see the girls on the dance team celebrating, and the teacher, Mrs. Farmer, as well. She's actually the group's coach, and her daughter is also in the group. She then also learns of Cunningham's crimes. A little while later, she goes to Donnie's house to speak to his mother, Rose. She asks for Rose's help taking Sparkle Motion on a flight to LA for the dance competition because she can't go. She needs to stay and help fight Jim Cunningham's charges. She's convinced it's a conspiracy to smear his good name, but there is evidence in the movie dude was a little sus. Mrs. Farmer begs Rose and guilt trips her into chaperoning the dance team to the competition.
Elizabeth will be in charge. She'll drive you to therapy. And if you need anything, you promise me that you will call Dr. Thurman.
How's it feel to have a wacko for a son?
It feels wonderful.
Donnie goes to school and talks with his English teacher. She tells Donnie she got fired, and Donnie asks about the writing on the blackboard.
This famous linguist once said that of all the phrases in the English language, of all the endless combinations of words in all of history, that cellar door is the most beautiful.
Cellar door.
Donnie goes into the hallway and locks eyes with Cherita. Then, an ethereal score starts to play as he walks towards her.
I promise that one day, everything's gonna be better for you.
Shut up!
We see a book with Donnie's name written on it. We don't see what's inside, but apparently Cherita had a bit of a crush or is taking some notes on him, for some reason. I genuinely have no idea what is in this notebook, and I'm extremely curious what it is. I do have some theories, of course, that we will get into later. Donnie then walks home, wearing Cherita's earmuffs. One more day remains before the end of the world. Donnie and his sister decide to throw a Halloween party. And when we cut to the party scene, we also see the guy from earlier when Donnie and Gretchen were in the woods talking about kissing. I don't have any clue why he's there, and it's really bizarre. Please let me know what you guys think. This movie just has endless mysteries. The house gets a call from Donnie's therapist, hoping to reach one of his parents, as she is concerned about what he had said in their last session. No one answers, and we get another snippet from Roberta Sparrow's book. Chapter 9, Insurance Trap. The manipulated dead will set an insurance trap. The living receiver must ensure the fate of all humankind. This is telling us that Frank, the only manipulated dead we know of, will set some sort of trap to ensure Donnie will save everyone. Gretchen shows up to the party because her mom has disappeared and she's scared it's her very abusive stepdad chasing her family down. I mean, I assume she also had an invite. Donnie is nice and just tries to be supportive as always, and then she and him get a little freaky. The house gets a call from Donnie's mom saying they're taking the red-eye flight back and will be home in the morning to be home as soon as possible. 6 more hours remain before the end of the world. Donnie walks downstairs to the fridge after getting freaky with Gretchen and sees a note on the fridge from Frank, our first link between him and Donnie that wasn't hallucinated. Donnie then stares into Gretchen's path and trips out a bit. Afterwards, he grabs everyone and they rush to Grandma Death's house. When they get there, Donnie sees her cellar door and enters with Gretchen, thinking back to what his English teacher had told him. They get jumped out of nowhere by the school bullies. Things get real intense as Donnie is being held on the ground with a knife against his throat, and Gretchen is on the ground unable to catch her breath because she had the wind knocked out of her. The dude is upset about a rumor of him flooding the school going around, and he knows Donnie is the one who flooded the school. But Donnie had nothing to do with the rumor. The young Seth Rogen bully sees a car coming and yells at his friend to leave before giving up and just dipping by himself. While the car is getting closer, Donnie mutters, "Ex Machina," and "Our Savior," as the car swerves around Grandma Death and Gretchen fucking dies.
Mark, what did you just say? What the fuck did you just say?
Our Savior.
I've been roaming around, always looking down at all I see.
The guy gets off Donnie and runs. The people get out of the car and we see the driver, Frank. This was the insurance trap. Donnie pulls out the gun he found in his parents' closet earlier in the film and shoots Frank in the eye we saw was missing earlier, closing Frank's loop.
The storm is coming. You must hurry.
Donnie carries Gretchen all the way home, and yeah, dude definitely has some kind of super strength going on. When he gets home, he gets inside and he says goodbye to his sister and takes some car keys. When he gets back outside to the car, he looks up and sees a giant hole opening up above his house. He gets in the car and drives off to what looks like the mountain we were on at the beginning of the movie. Now, here we are, at the end of everything. Donnie looks over the skyline and the weird clouds coming down over the town and just laughs to himself. We cut to the flight Donnie's mom was on, and the plane begins to crash. Now, some people here have a theory that Donnie used telekinesis to rip the jet engine off of the plane, but I think the plane actually hit this weird storm over the town because it was around the time that she was supposed to get back anyway, since she was taking a very early flight home. She was already at the airport when she called the house earlier. So personally, I think the plane just crashed into the storm over the town. We cut back to Donnie in the car with Gretchen, and he just sits there and takes her in for a moment. And now it's time to go back.
Dear Roberta Sparrow, I've reached the end of your book, and there's so many things that I need to ask you. Sometimes I'm afraid of what you might tell me. Sometimes I'm afraid that you'll tell me that this is not a work of fiction. I can only hope that the answers will come to me in my sleep. I hope that when the world comes to an end, I can breathe a sigh of relief, because there will be so much to look forward to.
Donnie is back home in his bed, laughing to himself hysterically. He lays down to go to sleep, and the jet engine lands in his room. Donnie fucking dies, dude.
I've been roaming around.
We get one final snippet from Roberta Sparrow's book, Chapter 12, Dreams. This page explains when the manipulated living awaken from their journey into the tangent universe, they are often haunted by the experience in their dreams. Many of them will not remember. Those who do remember the journey are often overcome with profound remorse for the regretful actions buried within their dreams. Mad World starts playing, and we are introduced to the manipulated living. First up is Donnie's therapist, who I believe was manipulated living by helping Donnie in his internal search for answers and validating his reality, helping him achieve his end goal. She helps him overcome his fear of dying alone. There's also like some weird stuff where like his medication was actually placebos and stuff like that, so maybe that had something to do with it as well. I'm not entirely sure, but you know, she's in there, so she was a manipulated living, presumably. Then we see Donnie's English and science teacher, who both helped Donnie the best they could with any questions that he had. The English teacher led Donnie towards the cellar door at the end of the movie. She also helped influence Donnie into burning Jim Cunningham's house down and flooding the school. She also got Gretchen to sit next to Donnie and start kindling their whole relationship, so she's a pretty important character to the whole story. The science teacher gave Donnie Roberta's book, as well as generally helped guide him around the whole time travel situation. He also owned Roberta Sparrow's book, so, you know, he had to have had some kind of idea of what was happening. I mean, to be honest, I think both him and the English teacher knew what was happening. Since they seemed to be a couple, they had to have talked to each other, and there is this one scene earlier.
Donnie Darko.
Then it shows us Jim Cunningham, and I'm not entirely sure how he's a manipulated living. I think he influenced Donnie by challenging his beliefs and reinforcing them. And before the scene of Donnie flooding the school and burning Jim Cunningham's house down, there is a scene with Jim Cunningham. So I think he fueled like Donnie's rage or something as well, and helped influence the events happening that helped Donnie overall carry out his end goal. Had Donnie not flooded the school, he would have never started dating Gretchen, presumably. And had he not burnt down Jim Cunningham's house, his mom would not be on the earliest flight back to the house for the jet engine to be at the right place at the right time for Donnie to go back and, you know, finish the whole weird time loop situation we have going on here. Then it shows us Mrs. Farmer, whose obsession with Jim Cunningham led her to staying home while Rose took Sparkle Motion to LA. If she had gone instead, she could have ended up taking a different plane, and the article artifact, the jet engine, would not have been in position to return to the main universe for the end of the movie. Also, her pushing Jim Cunningham on the school, getting books banned, and the teacher fired all helped lead Donnie towards his destiny. Then we get the biggest curveball, Cherita. Now, I personally think Cherita is essentially a guardian angel to Donnie. Now, do you remember at the beginning of the movie where Donnie's dad said, "Oh, I think someone was watching over him"?
Somebody was watching over him.
It's Cherita, dude. Cherita's eavesdropping on Donnie talking to his science teacher about time travel for some reason. Why is she doing that? Cherita's always sitting behind Donnie in class. Why is she always there, man? Cherita's dressed like an angel after the dance competition, looks up to the sky. The moment she closes her eyes, boom, snap, we cut to Donnie. Why? I have no idea. And man, I swear the Cherita rabbit hole goes all the way down. She is one of the most important characters in the movie, and I don't think she gets any respect for it. It makes me sad. You know that rumor about the bully flooding the school?
Did you tell him that I flooded the school?
I think Cherita is the one who spread it. She helped orchestrate things in the background to make sure that Donnie would get to the end. She was in on it the whole time, man. And I'm all in on this conspiracy. And then finally, we get to see Frank, who is the easiest to pin down how he was a manipulated living and dead. He helped Donnie the whole way through. And although he has a kind of spooky disposition, I think Frank is a pretty cool dude who just wanted to help the whole time.
What was his name?
Donnie Darko. I feel bad for his family.
Yeah.
Did you know him?
No.
So I've been rambling about this movie for about 42 minutes now. What's the point? What's the message here? Well, Donnie Darko is an interesting movie in that it's sort of up to you from here to decide what it all means. I personally have a few ideas about what the whole movie means and was going for. My first theory is Donnie is in purgatory. What if Donnie was actually dead the whole time, and that the entire movie took place moments before he was dying or as he was dying? And it was a spiritual journey about accepting his death. There's no tangent universe or anything, it's all kind of taking place in Donnie's head as he dies. That's just like context his brain built to make sense of this weird situation it's in. This would explain a lot of the talk about finding God and the fear of dying alone. It also helps back up my Cherita guardian angel theory a little more. By the end of the movie, Donnie has finally accepted his death and that there is nothing that he can do to escape it. So then we cut back to reality where Donnie finally dies. Though, I'll admit, this idea is a little shaky and it doesn't explain the time travel stuff very well. I think it's a neat idea. My second theory is this is all a time loop. What if the beginning of the movie was the end of a failed loop where Donnie didn't learn the correct lesson? What if everyone in the movie had gone through this before but forgets most of it each time? They may have dreams or maybe some idea of what happened the last time, but they don't fully recall and act as normal with maybe a slight instinct to try something else they didn't do in a previous loop. This could explain weird things like the teacher asking Gretchen to sit next to who she thinks is the cutest. Maybe she's asked 1,000 other things, but this one got her to sit next to Donnie. It would also explain why Donnie can see the future and knows what will happen. He could be more in tune with the past iterations as the living receiver. And finally, just kind of what I personally think. I mean, this whole video has been what I personally think, but do you remember that one scene when Donnie and Gretchen are walking through the woods?
And what if you could go back in time and take all those hours of pain and darkness and replace them with something better?
I think That is what this movie is about. In this tangent universe, we get to see what happens to Donnie if he hadn't gotten hit by the jet engine. Throughout the movie, we see that Donnie is actually the root of a lot of suffering, and by the end of the film, he comes to terms with that. He even knew he would be causing the suffering, but didn't choose to change it and kept following God's channel. I think this is because no matter what he did, there would still be the same outcome. If he hadn't taken the gun to kill Frank, it would have just happened some other way, like a self-fulfilling prophecy. Donnie knows that there is no way to escape the deterministic nature of the environment he's in, so he just goes with it. Gretchen always dies because of him, Frank is always shot by him, and his mom and sister are always in the plane that crashes, no matter what he does. I think at the end of the movie, Donnie is laughing because he realizes there was no escaping it at all. It was some cosmic joke being played on him the whole time. He spent the whole film scared of dying alone, and yet by the end of the movie, his mom and sister are dead, his older sister is going to college, his dad is in New York City, Gretchen is dead, everyone is going to die, and he is alone. I think he has realized the only way to spare the ones he loved was to no longer be scared of dying alone. The only way his family and Gretchen could survive was if he had died when he was supposed to. If he tried to avoid it, it would have all just happened again, or the universe would have just ceased to exist altogether. Donnie, I think, realizes by the end of the movie he should have been hit by the engine. That it was him not getting hit by it that was the root of the tangent universe. So, he goes back in time to take all those hours of pain and darkness
and replace them with something better.
In the end, what's the general message? Well, I still have no idea. Honestly, bits of each of my ideas feel right, but none of them feel fully true. And that's just something that's great about this movie. There's something new to take away from it with every single watch. There is no right answer, like Donnie would say. They made a Donnie Darko book at some point, and there is a foreword from Mr. Donnie Darko himself, Jake Gyllenhaal. I think it sums things up pretty well. What is Donnie Darko about? I have no idea. At least not a conscious one, but somehow I've always understood it. The most amazing thing about making this movie, for me, was the fact that no one, including the man from whose mind it emerged, ever had a simple answer to this question. And that, ironically, is the very thing the film is actually about. There is no single answer to any question. Every person's explanation differs according to how they were brought up, where they were brought up, and who brought them up. This seems like a very simple answer to a perplexingly complex movie, but when you think about it, it gets to the very crux of what we all seem to take for granted. Our own minds, how they differ, and that we are all entitled to our own interpretation. So basically, Donnie Darko is sort of like life. It's what you make of it. You never know when a jet engine is gonna land in your room and take you out, so you should live every day to your fullest and make the most of it. When you watch Donnie Darko, your interpretation is not of the movie, it's a reflection of yourself. And there's not many movies that can do that. It's just a wonderful movie, and I love it so much, and I'm crying a little bit, I'm a little emotional. There's even talk about mirrors and looking inwards and going towards love all throughout the movie, and I think the movie is supposed to be a mirror in a way. It's supposed to show you some part of yourself that maybe you've been scared to look at for a while, you know? Donnie isn't a perfect person, but boy does that guy got a big heart. Gretchen is the insurance trap because when she dies, Frank knows that Donnie would do anything to bring her back, even if that meant sacrificing himself, and he doesn't even get to see her be alive and okay and happy. He just does it because Donnie is the man. This is the greatest movie of all time. Fight me on it. My grandfather actually passed away recently, so I guess talking about death and stuff, it's hitting pretty close to home, and I miss him. I would go back in time and have a jet engine land on me for him to be okay. You know how it is. I just wanted to interject and maybe add some context as to why I'm getting so emotional talking about Donnie Darko. It's also just a very good movie, and I love it a lot. And it's holding up the mirror to me in this moment, I think. Anyways, on to the outro. that's about it, I think. I could honestly talk about this movie forever. I've watched it multiple times making this video. I teared up a few too many times because the movie just hits me right in the feels, and I had a really good time just thinking about the movie. I had a hard time working on this video. It's taken a long time, and it's hard to get out of my head and just put a thing out into the world and not be scared of people criticizing me. But we're out here, and I just really hope you all enjoyed it. I hope someone appreciates maybe the movie in a new way. Maybe someone new went and watched the movie because of this video. No matter what, I'm a happy boy. Please let me know what you thought in the comments down below. How did you interpret the movie? What are your theories? What do you think was in Cherita's notebook? I'm dying to know, so let me know in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and please subscribe if you enjoyed it. I'll see you guys in the next one.
You want to tell Mom and Dad why you stopped taking your medication?
You're such a fuck ass.
What? Please.
Did you just call me a fuck ass?
Elizabeth, that's enough.
You can go suck a fuck.
Oh, please tell me, Elizabeth, how exactly does one suck a fuck?
You want me to tell you?
Please tell me.
We will not have this at the dinner table.
Stop.